Chapter 61. It's a Trap. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 61. It's a Trap. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations. It was night time. Lin Fan closed his shop. Lin Fan drove around the district with his free car and went home. The car was a match made in heaven for Lin Fan. As for the place he was living in, he had to find a more comfortable home. As he stopped his sports car in his front yard, his neighbors surrounded him. Elder Wang was very envious of him. They wondered what the hell had happened. How could Lin Fan afford such a car? Lin Fan took a shower and lay on his bed. He took out his phone and looked at his WeChat. It was Huahan who had spammed him with over 100 messages. She was crazy, but at least she had a commendable spirit. Little boss, please reply quickly. If not, I'll kill you. I'm starving. I'm really going to starve to death if I don't get to eat scallion pancakes. Please, tell me where you are. Those were pretty much what the messages on WeChat were about. Lin Fan was lazy to reply her. He thought of himself as an unfriendly person. How could he reply to her so easily? But as he thought of scallion pancakes, he realized that he was actually craving for them. The taste was so heavenly. Also, there was another WeChat message from Chen Xine. She sent him pictures of herself wearing traditional clothing and she looked stunning. SpongeBob kawaii pants. Master, I am on the filming team with my childhood best friend. These are some pictures from the film. Aren't they nice? Lin Fan looked at all the pictures and sent a simple message, yeah, they're pretty good. Chen Xine was excited when she saw Lin Fan's reply and immediately replied, if you like them, I can send you more in future. But Master Lin didn't reply to the message. His WeChat was adjusted to silent mode and he was already looking at Weibo. So many things had happened recently, he wondered how many more fans he had gained. When he opened Weibo, Lin Fan was ecstatic. It had actually increased by 60,000 people, which was a remarkable improvement. However, he was no longer on the trending news. The list changed frequently. One day, you could be famous and the next day you could end up becoming a nobody. So many private messages. Lin Fan stared at his private inbox which had 999 messages. He opened it and saw that there were various questions. Some wanted him to read their fortunes, some asked if he had a girlfriend while some said he was a fraud. There were so many different topics covered. Lin Fan didn't bother about those questions. He was already considered a famous person. But in order to attract more customers, he sent a message on Weibo. I don't read fortunes via Weibo. If you have any queries, please come to Shanghai Cloud Street Block 8861. Master Lin. When Lin Fan sent out the text, many people commented it. One of the comments received several thousand likes in an instant. It was obviously programmed by bots. Looking at the username that made that comment, Lin Fan gave in. Autumn Sword Fish Killer. Everyone has their part to play if we want to expose his lies. Fraud, please get out of Weibo. Liked 6,785 times, what is with Autumn Sword Fish Killer? I haven't done anything to offend him but this man keeps flaming me on the internet. Could it be that he's addicted to it? Lin Fan did a search on the internet and actually found his webpage. Autumn Sword Internet Army. Services. Online promotion service, online trolling service, marketing service for service inquiries, QQ, 137XXX325. At the side, there was a picture of a retarded-looking 300-pounds man. Lin Fan looked at it closely and went to add this QQ account. Lin Fan wanted to speak to him for flaming him every day. Even if Autumn Sword Fish Killer wasn't tired of it, Lin Fan was tired of being the victim. Lin Fan. Autumn Sword Fish Killer. After a short while, there was a reply. Autumn Sword Fish Killer. May I know what you're looking for? If you want promotion services, press 1. For internet trolling, press 2. For marketing, press 3. If you want to chat, I charge $1 for a word. If you do not have money, please swipe left. At that moment, in a certain house, Autumn Swordfish Killer had prepared himself to leave the house. A girl had contacted him to ask him for a meet-up. Furthermore, she had sent him a picture of herself and she looked pretty good, which made him a little excited. Although he felt sorry for Meng Meng for meeting the girl, he thought that if Meng Meng didn't know about it, it would be okay. He's received a message on QQ. I am Master Lin. He became silent after reading the message. Then, he laughed. His fat body vibrated vigorously and his sausage-like fingers began to tap on his screen. Autumn Swordfish Killer. Huh, what is it? Are you afraid? If I don't manage to suppress your Weibo, I, Autumn Sword, will leave the world of the internet trolls. Lin Fan had wanted to have a nice chat with him, but since he had replied in such a way, Lin Fan just replied, let me give you a free fortune-telling session. You're going to have an unlucky day. Autumn Sword. Get lost. You're the unlucky one. This guy doesn't explain himself and even tries to scare me. Doesn't he know how long I, Autumn Sword, have been thriving on the internet? Then, Autumn Swordfish Killer packed his things and smiled confidently at himself in the mirror. He felt that he was really good looking and was smitten by himself. Lin Fan was speechless. Autumn Swordfish Killer must have been killed by him in his previous life and wanted to take revenge in this life. Don't let me see you in real life. Otherwise, I will beat you up until you look like a 400 pounds fat A*S, Lin Fan said angrily. Lin Fan's Weibo was supposed to be peaceful and have a flawless record of compliments. But it had been ruined by this man. Now, it was filled with quite a number of negative comments. After looking through Weibo, he immediately fell asleep. At a certain hotel, Autumn Swordfish Killer had finally met the girl. They both finished their meal and were chatting happily. When the girl talked about him, she didn't even despise him because of his size. Also, she even said that fatter guys were nicer to hug. This made Autumn Swordfish Killer very happy. He had finally met a girl who appreciated him. Although it might have just been a one-night stand. As a fake virgin, Autumn Swordfish Killer would definitely never forget this girl he was dating. He would remember it for life. In the bathroom, Autumn Swordfish Killer took a quick shower. The girl was interesting. She said she wanted to change into her seductive underwear first and so, she asked him to shower first. Although Autumn Swordfish Killer was showering with cold water, his heart burned with desire and passion. He hummed a song and quickly finished the shower. He didn't even bother to wear his underwear and just walked out of the bathroom in his bathrobe. Hey, aren't you supposed to be in seductive underwear? Autumn Sword asked. I forgot to bring my bra, the girl said seductively. It's okay if you forgot to bring it. I'm a little nervous, today's my first time. You gotta guide me. Autumn Swordfish Killer had done it many times but he pretended to be shy and inexperienced. Then, Autumn Sword swallowed his saliva forcefully as he slowly removed the girl's clothes. Just after he removed her outerwear, the door suddenly slammed open. A group of old men rushed into the room. Autumn Swordfish Killer was stunned and asked, "What are you doing?" One of the rugged-looking men punched Autumn Swordfish Killer as he collapsed onto the bed. "L.C. Dog, how dare you take advantage of my wife? Are you tired of living? Husband, he wanted to rape me," the girl cried. Autumn Swordfish Killer was shocked. He had obviously been tricked into a badger game. But as he looked at these rugged-looking men, he was afraid. The 300-pound slab of meat lay motionlessly on the bed like a clump of mud. Chapter 62. Capturing Little Boss Alive. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow translations. It was morning and the air was fresh. Lin Fan took a rinse and did some stretching. He had slept very well the last night. As he left the door, he saw a few children surrounding his car. They were touching his car in amazement. The group of middle-aged women told their kids to be careful not to damage the car. When Lin Fan came out of his house, the surrounding neighbors walked towards him and said, "Lil Fan, you must have a fortune, this is such an impressive car." "No, it's given by a friend," Lin Fan smiled and said. The neighbors didn't believe him. Who would be so generous to give him a car as a gift? If there was really someone like that, they wanted to befriend him too. Elder Wang was envious. He said, "I wonder who's your sugar mummy." Friend, indeed. Haha, the car was really impressive and it was comfortable to drive. Lin Fan didn't bother to argue with Elder Wang as he knew that he was just jealous. He swaggered to his car as if he was trying to make him even more jealous. In the shop. There was no one yet and Lin Fan was furious when he saw what was happening on Weibo. Autumn Swordfish Killer must have gone crazy. He actually sent over 100,000 bad comments in just one night. Liar, big liar. He is a fraud, everyone, please don't believe him. Incorrigible fraud, he cheated me of several tens of thousands. On the previous night, Lin Fan had predicted that Autumn Swordfish Killer was going to lose a lot of money. Judging what was happening, what happened the night before had really dealt him a big blow. Lin Fan had already known this was going to happen. The consequences were too devastating for Autumn Swordfish Killer to handle. It was supposed to be a simple date but it unexpectedly turned out to be a blackmail scam. He lost $30,000 in just one night. Autumn Swordfish Killer put all the blame on Lin Fan. He spent the entire night flaming Lin Fan on Weibo. Sigh, this kid is hopeless. What could Lin Fan have done? He allowed him to continue his rant. He might just explode if he had continued to hold it in. Fraud Tian just sat there in boredom and watched Lin Fan as he mumbled to himself. He was a little taken aback but he was already used to it. Meanwhile, Lin Fan started to study the encyclopedia. It had many different types and classifications of knowledge. There were minor classes of knowledge and major classes of knowledge. As of then, he only had 13 encyclopedic points. He wanted to persevere till he could unlock the next page but he was running out of fuel. Hey! Then, Lin Fan had an idea. Some of the major classes of knowledge could be further branched into several minor classes of knowledge. That was quite interesting. For example, for languages, it was a major classification of knowledge but it was further classified into other subclasses. Chinese, English, German, Japanese, Korean. Within these subclasses, there were different numbers and symbols. If he wanted to unlock a particular language, he would require 20 encyclopedic points. Then, he opened the medicine classification, which further branched out to Chinese and Western medicine. He expanded the Chinese medicine class and there were countless sub-categories which included pharmacology, acupuncture, tuina massage, a form of Chinese manual therapy, and many others. The sub-categories in Chinese medicine required more encyclopedic points to unlock. They cost 100 encyclopedic points each. Lin Fan was enjoying himself as he looked through the encyclopedia's various classifications. But as he opened the one for Xianxia knowledge, the vast amount of encyclopedic points needed was insane. Even he did not dare to look through it. Little boss. A random voice attracted his attention as he was deep in thought. He had not heard anyone call him little boss in a long time. It's really little boss. A girl who had a youthful outfit was actually shopping on the streets outside of his shop. But when she looked into his shop, she was drawn by who was in it. The young person sitting on the chair in the shop was the little boss whom she had been looking for. Hua Han ran into the shop and placed her hands on the table. Her breasts bounced right in front of Lin Fan. Little boss, I finally found you. Why didn't you reply me? Hua Han was a little angry and she looked like a cat which had gone mad. Do you even have a conscience? You have my heart and yet you still heartlessly abandoned me. Are you even a man? Hua Han grumbled. When Fraud Tian heard what she said, he was heartbroken. She was such a beautiful woman. By what she had said, it looked like she was really attracted to Lin Fan. Lin Fan stared at Hua Han in shock as he hadn't expected to run into such a fierce woman like her again. Stop, so what do you want? Lin Fan asked. I want to eat scallion pancakes. Hua Han said without any hesitation. Lin Fan waved her away and said, Look, I'm a changed man now. I no longer sell scallion pancakes. Do you want to have a session of fortune-telling? Little boss, you have such great skills. Why did you change your career path? Why don't you make a scallion pancake for me and I'll have a session of fortune-telling with you, Hua Han replied. She had been tortured by the days without scallion pancakes. She felt that her life was empty without them. Babe, I've really changed my career already, Lin Fan firmly replied. Little boss, what do you want from me in exchange for the scallion pancakes? Hua Han asked. Since she had finally found him, she swore to never leave his shop without getting some scallion pancakes from him. Lin Fan was speechless. She was indeed fierce. At that moment, he felt really helpless. Then, a group of people came to his shop. Fraud Tian immediately went out to control the crowd and give out the number tags. Master Lin, we are here. We must be chosen today no matter what. To whoever gets chosen later, I am willing to buy your place for $300. Huh, just $300. You're belittling Master Lin's standard. Babe, look, I'm busy. I really can't make any more scallion pancakes, Lin Fan said as he pointed to his shop entrance. Hua Han was shocked at the sight of so many people. She felt that everything was fake. So many people are queuing up just for a session of fortune-telling. Hua Han became silent and as she left the shop, she turned back to look at Little Boss. Lin Fan sighed in relief. She was finally gone. But what Lin Fan didn't know was, that was just the beginning. Despicable Little Boss, I will definitely make you continue selling scallion pancakes. Although you probably can't find a girlfriend by being a scallion pancake seller, if you can satisfy my appetite, I might give you a chance to woo me. Then, Hua Han returned to her company and opened a chat group on her phone. Group name. Look for Little Boss. Members. 200 people. Hua Han. I've finally found Little Boss. The group had been silent for quite some time, but suddenly, it became lively again. Person 1. Where? Where did Little Boss go to set up his stall? Person 2. It's so difficult to locate Little Boss. He has vanished since that day. Person 3. To the pretty group creator, where exactly is Little Boss? I haven't eaten his scallion pancakes in such a long time. I can't control myself any longer. Hua Han. I saw him on Cloud Street but he has already changed his career. He's now a fortune-teller. I pleaded him to sell me some scallion pancakes but he refused. Person 4. What the? Did Little Boss really become a fortune-teller? How could it be? I have to make Little Boss return to the right path of life. How could he ruin his future like that? Person 5. I suggest all of us together and pull Little Boss back. Hua Han. I agree, we will be stronger in numbers. For the sake of our scallion pancakes, we must take the initiative. Let's group together and split up the work. No problem. We will follow your instructions. For the scallion pancakes, we will give our all. We must capture Little Boss alive and make him return to his right path of life. Let's do our best. This mission shall be called Capturing Little Boss Alive. Meanwhile, Lin Fan was enjoying his tea and didn't know that something major was going to happen soon. Chapter 63. A fight is about to break out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations, Master, you're so God-like, a convinced old man said. As long as you maintain your usual attitude and outlook on things, the difficult things will not be too difficult. Calm your son down and there will be a positive change in the near future, Lin Fan smiled and said. I understand now. Thank you, Master. The old man placed a few $100 bills and left the shop, full of satisfaction. When he went out of the shop, he gave a thumbs up to the people outside. Master Lin is indeed a master. He knew what I was going to say even before I asked anything. You're in luck, the crowd said enviously as they were queuing up to enter the shop. They became even more confident in Master Lin's standards. Everyone had said that Master Lin was really accurate and nobody said he was a fraud. Lin Fan sipped on his tea with a carefree look on his face. Next, number 33. With a limited number of customers daily, it allowed Lin Fan to have more time for himself and he was less tired. He even felt that he could continue with this job for the rest of his life. But this thinking only lasted for a while. Number 33, that's me. I've been chosen, one of the youngsters in the queue exclaimed. This youngster had tried to interview for many companies but failed all of them and he had lost all his confidence. After hearing how good Master Lin was, he went to queue for a place for 3 consecutive days. Youngster, sell me your place, I will give you $1,000 for it, said a rich but rude man. I'm not selling, the youngster said as he held on to the number tag tightly. It concerned his future. He'd be dreaming if he were to sell it for just $1,000. This time, he wanted to find out about his career. When Lin Fan was about to start speaking, suddenly, it became very noisy outside his shop. There were sounds of drums and shouting. What happened? Lin Fan was a little curious. Fraud, what's the situation outside? Did a new shop just open? No, it seems like they're coming for us. Fraud Tian took several glances and said in shock. Charging towards us. Lin Fan thought about it for a while and didn't think of anything major that had happened recently. He hadn't offended anyone as either. Why was it so noisy? At that moment, a voice shocked Lin Fan. Little Boss is here. Each time he heard Little Boss, he knew what was happening. Master, can you still read my fortune for me? The youngster asked nervously. Hold on, there might be something that's about to happen, Lin Fan said as he turned and stood at the entrance. When he saw the group of people that was charging towards him, he was stunned. The owners of the surrounding shops all gathered at their entrances. What's happening? Why is it that Cloud Street has been so lively recently? The owner of the shoe shop asked. Looks like they're charging towards Master Lin, said the boss of the milk tea shop. Where did this Master Lin come from? How did he create such a stir? The crowd was confused. They had already given in to Master Lin completely. It hadn't even been half a month since the shop had opened, yet, he could create such a ruckus. How awesome was Master Lin exactly? Fraud Tian was shocked by the situation and asked, Kid, what did you do this time? What could I have done? Lin Fan asked. Then. Fraud Tian said as he pointed to the incoming crowd and he couldn't even finish his sentence. Little Boss, you've been so hard to find, a middle-aged man said. Little Boss, did you know we've been living such painful lives ever since you left? The other scallion pancake vendor is sh*t compared to you. My husband kept nagging about Little Boss's scallion pancakes. The crowd kept talking among themselves. Meanwhile, Lin Fan was really taken aback. How could such a thing happen in this world? It was just scallion pancakes, did they have to mobilize so many people to corner him? Look! There's even a cart for scallion pancakes. Where did they even get it from? What Lin Fan didn't know was that there were some loyal scallion pancake customers that had pooled some money to buy the cart from the other vendor just so that they could eat scallion pancakes on that day. If he had known, he would have vomited blood. It was just scallion pancakes after all. But if there was someone to blame, it would have to be Lin Fan, who didn't bother much about the power of these scallion pancakes. The knowledge in the encyclopedia wasn't such a simple thing. These scallion pancakes could be said to be the most delicious food on earth. One bite and you'd remember it for life. Hua Han was standing amongst the crowd and that was all she could have done. She hoped to use everyone's determination to move Little Boss and make him return to selling pancakes. "Everyone, please settle down," Lin Fan said helplessly. Those that were waiting for Master Lin for fortune-telling were all shocked. Isn't Master Lin a fortune-teller? Since when did he become a scallion pancake seller? Also, did these people run to the wrong place? It's just scallion pancakes. Is there a need for this? I have already changed my career. I no longer sell scallion pancakes anymore. Please understand that, Lin Fan explained. When those that were waiting for the scallion pancakes heard what he said, they obviously couldn't agree. "Little Boss, the scallion pancakes were so good. Even if you increase the price to $100 each, we would still buy them." "Yeah, what future would you have from fortune-telling? Selling scallion pancakes would be a more stable job. Little Boss, don't ruin your own future. The scallion pancake business is your main profession. How could you just quit like that?" The scallion pancake crowd tried their best to convince Lin Fan. But as for those waiting for him to read their fortunes, they were all furious. "What are you doing? Master Lin is a legitimate master. If you want to have scallion pancakes, can't you buy them from somewhere else? Yeah, what future can you have from selling scallion pancakes? Master Lin is now a great fortune-teller. Please leave, we want to have our fortunes read. Master Lin's already said that he's not going to make any pancakes. Why are you still making things difficult for him? These New Year goodies can be eaten all year round. I've never seen people like you before." Those that wanted to have their fortunes read were all unhappy. What future could one have by selling pancakes? Looking at Master Lin now, he had become a household name. There were so many people that were trying to have him read their fortunes for them. Some young and fashionable teenagers were shopping along Cloud Street and when they saw what was happening, they became curious and took out their phones to record it. These weird happenings are not uncommon. But what are the chances of a fortune-teller being linked to a scallion pancake vendor, said a youngster that didn't believe in fortune-telling. "Hey, look, the actors today are so creative. Let's record this and upload it to the internet." Lin Fan felt helpless. "Kid, I think we gotta think of something quickly." "Something's about to go down," Fraud Tian whispered to Lin Fan. "I can already see it coming," Lin Fan replied. If he didn't settle this properly, it was likely that the two sides would clash. Chapter 64. Do you have to exaggerate? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations, how can you say such a thing? Little Boss is so young and he's being disturbed by superstitious people like you. What if he sinks too deep into this quicksand? How are you going to answer to Little Boss? A big dot-sized man shouted. He was a loyal customer of the scallion pancake stall. After eating Lin Fan's scallion pancakes, he couldn't bear to eat other scallion pancakes anymore, often spitting out everything after just one bite. He felt that other scallion pancakes were rubbish compared to the taste of Lin Fan's scallion pancakes. How can one have a bright future from selling scallion pancakes? Master Lin is a cultured man, his predictions are all on point. Where did you guys come from? Get lost. Do not disturb Master Lin's fortune-telling, a person said while queuing for a fortune-telling session. You guys should be the ones leaving. Have you eaten Little Boss scallion pancakes before? If you haven't, then shut up. It has the potential to be an international delicacy. International delicacy. Who are you lying to? There are so many vendors that sell scallion pancakes. Did they make it to the international stage? You don't believe it, right? Yeah, I don't. Something was about to break out. Not to mention Fraud Tian, even Lin Fan felt that the world had gone crazy. If they didn't stop the situation from worsening, a fight could break out anytime between these two parties. Things would become ugly if it ended up like that. As for the news headline, that would be simple. He had even thought of a suitable headline already. Intense debate about the importance of scallion pancakes versus fortune-telling results in a fight. Lin Fan was a little emotional. Sometimes, it's a bad thing for someone to become so good at something. Everyone, please settle down, Hua Han said sternly even though she was a petite woman. With just one sentence, the people queuing for scallion pancakes became silent. The leader had spoken, how could they not listen to her? Little boss, please. We are all your loyal fans. Can you continue with your scallion pancake business? Hua Han said coquettishly as she tried to make Lin Fan change his mind. The group of scallion pancake fans all started laughing. Perhaps everything could be done since the leader has already spoken. The leader was a beautiful lady. This young little boss would definitely melt at her words. No, there's no future in making scallion pancakes. Master, you must not listen to her, someone from the fortune-telling team said. She was also a beautiful lady. Although she wasn't as pretty as Hua Han, she had a better figure and a classy look. As for the people supportive of the scallion pancake business, they wondered if Hua Han could suppress the representative sent by the opposing fortune-telling team. Both parties had sent out respectable representatives. Fraud Tian looked at both of them and swallowed his saliva forcefully as he admired their looks. Meanwhile, Lin Fan didn't know what to do. You're so young, how can you believe in these? Your scallion pancakes are heaven on earth, little boss. Did you know that you could become a well-respected gourmet in future? Hua Han said as she placed her hands on her hips. An argument had broken out. Hey, Master is a divine fortune-teller. Did you know that? After listening to his words, you'll feel like you have a new purpose in life, the other beautiful lady said. The surrounding crowd was stunned. The situation seemed a little suspicious. How could a fortune-teller be related to a scallion pancake vendor? But the owners of the nearby shops were filled with admiration. A true master indeed. How awesome. Everyone, please shut up, Lin Fan stood in between both groups of people and said. If he didn't resolve the problem, who knew what would happen next? Let me think through this carefully, he added. For this matter, Lin Fan had to think of a flawless strategy. He hadn't completed the fortune-telling task yet. He couldn't just give up on it. But the power of the scallion pancakes was remarkable, it actually caused such an argument to happen. Have you ever seen a group of hundreds of people gathering together just to persuade someone to change his profession to a scallion pancake vendor? It was something that nobody had ever seen. If it was seen by foreigners, they'd probably end up in shock and exclaim, what an intriguing nation. Then, Lin Fan thought of a brilliant plan. Hold on. The crowd didn't know what little boss wanted. They looked at him as he went into a printing shop. After about 10 minutes, he came out of it with a giant poster. Lin Fan had thought through everything. Since they wanted to eat scallion pancakes, then they had to understand the knowledge that went into making scallion pancakes. If he could make use of them to gain encyclopedic points, that would be awesome. Lin Fan passed the poster to Fraud Tian for him to stick it onto the wall. I can't give up on fortune-telling. But since everyone is so passionate, I can't stand here and not do anything. This is a poster about making scallion pancakes. If you can understand it, you will be rewarded with a scallion pancake. It's limited and everyone will have only one chance. In future, there will only be 10 pieces daily. You will have to ballot for it. I can only compromise so much. If you are not agreeable to it, then I can't help you, Lin Fan said. Just 10. Although it's very few, at least it's better than none. What is this about understanding the poster? It's so weird. Little boss, you're so good to us. Hua Han was so emotional that she almost hugged Lin Fan. To Hua Han, it was like a form of victory. They had finally managed to convince Little Boss. Although there were limited quantities, as long as they could have a chance to enjoy such delicious pancakes, they were happy. Then, Lin Fan continued with his fortune-telling while those that were waiting for the scallion pancakes began to read the poster. Some of them furrowed their brows as they didn't really understand. Those that hadn't been chosen to meet Lin Fan for fortune-telling were also curious and they began to look at the poster as well. They wanted to find out what was so special about these pancakes that made everyone crazy for them. Encyclopedic points +1, encyclopedic points +1. Suddenly, he gained 10 encyclopedic points. Now, he had 23 encyclopedic points. Indeed. By using this method, it forced these people to be more willing to read and understand such knowledge. But there were so many people and he only gained 10 encyclopedic points. Perhaps there were people who didn't try hard enough. His fortune-telling sessions with 20 people were almost completed. Lin Fan then stood at the scallion pancake cart that they had brought along. You. And you. Altogether, there are 10 of you. You have understood the contents of this poster. You will be able to have the scallion pancakes, Lin Fan said. I finally succeeded. Hua Han was one of the chosen few. She was extremely excited. She was actually really confused about what the poster was saying. But she focused and kept trying to understand what it was saying so that she could finally eat the delicious scallion pancakes. Little boss, how do you know that they have understood it? An unchosen person said in disappointment. Lin Fan smiled and pointed at the door of his shop which said, Master Lin. The person was speechless. Hua Han took the first scallion pancake and couldn't wait to taste it, but she took out her phone and took some pictures. I finally got to eat Little Boss pancakes again. Hua Han smiled and felt that she was so blessed. The lady that argued with her previously said, just one scallion pancake and you're already so happy. Come, have a bite. I don't mind your saliva on it. Hua Han couldn't bear to part with it but she thought of a great plan. She would let the lady try it and find out how good Little Boss was. Then, when the lady started to crave for it, she wouldn't be able to have it. That's when the show would begin. Huh, alright, the lady said in disdain as she showed an unwilling expression on her face. But when she took a bite of the scallion pancake, she immediately lit up. Hua Han quickly took the scallion pancake back from her as she smiled sweetly. Suddenly, the condescending lady felt like she was in heaven. It was an indescribable taste and feeling. She felt nothing but happiness. It was like she was being tossed around on a giant piece of crispy scallion pancake skin. It was an unforgettable feeling. This. In an instant, the lady widened her eyes and was in shock. This taste, this flavor, and this feeling. Irresistible, it is truly irresistible. Heaven on earth, it's heaven on earth indeed. Give me one more bite, the lady said as she gulped her saliva as if she had forgotten her words earlier on. Hua Han took a big bite of the scallion pancake and the lady just stared at it like a work of art. That feeling was unbearable. Not going to give it to you, Hua Han said as she ate it. Then, Hua Han turned and left. No. I need to queue up. I want to eat the pancakes. It's too delicious, the lady couldn't handle it anymore. Those that hadn't been chosen for a session of fortune-telling with Lin Fan were all stunned when they saw the behavior of the lady. Is that even real? Her expressions were so exaggerated. What shocked them further was that the people that had been queuing behind also had the same exaggerated expression after they ate the scallion pancakes. Delicious. This is simply too delicious. I've waited for so long. I finally get to eat the scallion pancakes of my dreams. If I don't get to eat it in future, what else would I live for? There were even some who teared up after eating the scallion pancakes. The surrounding crowd was cursing in their hearts. Do they have to exaggerate so much? Chapter 65. Could these celebrities please take note? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations. It was nighttime. A Weibo post reached the trending page. The person who wrote the post was a young person who didn't have many followers on Weibo. However, it attracted a lot of attention when he mentioned Master Lin in the title. The demonic scallion pancakes came from Master Lin, and the audience's reactions deserve an Oscar. A small, insignificant post had over 700,000 comments in just a day, almost hitting 800,000. Steven 0625. What in the name of heaven? A fortune teller that sells scallion pancakes. How much did he pay the people to react? Their reactions looked almost real. Wind Bridge Night Anchor. Master Lin is all hype. Once the hype dies down, he'll find new ways to promote himself. This is absurd. Xiaomao. I was with the crowd when they saw Master Lin. Their acting ability was phenomenal. I certainly couldn't have acted like that. I wonder where they hired the actors from. Most of the Weibo users took this as a joke, and whoever believed it was seen as an idiot helpless without love. This whole thing has been exaggerated. It's just a scallion pancake. He must be trying to attract attention again. The netizens thought of the situation as a joke. Pro Fisher, garlic paste. You guys shouldn't be in disbelief. Master Lin is actually very accurate at fortune-telling. I ate his scallions pancake today and I must say it was absolutely delicious. You'll regret it if you don't try it. I'm already addicted to it, and I'm gonna queue up for it first thing tomorrow morning. Wind Bridge Night Anchor. In response to Pro Fisher, garlic paste. I know you're getting paid to say this. You should stop doing it, otherwise, I'll wreck you and your taste buds. King Clown. You guys should believe Pro Fisher, garlic paste. Master Lin is really that awesome and his fortune telling is very accurate. Although I have never eaten his scallion pancakes before, I was passing by and the fragrance was out of this world. Not long after, a heated argument started in the Weibo comments. A third of the people believed that it was real while another third didn't believe in it. The remaining third was neutral about the situation. Lin Fan was at home scrolling through his Weibo page. When he saw himself in the headlines, his reaction was neutral, as if nothing happened. A number of netizens were discussing the issue on their own Weibo pages, talking about all the possible conspiracy theories. Over the past few days, Lin Fan had experienced how sweet success felt. And in these few short days, his salary skyrocketed to $70,000. The old Lin Fan could have never imagined this. Ever since after he obtained the encyclopedia, everything in his life had changed for the better. It was rather satisfying to continue selling scallion pancakes. His encyclopedic points had also increased quite a lot too. In the past, when he sold scallion pancakes, the townsfolk didn't really pay attention to him. Now, they had to understand the scallion pancake knowledge before he would sell them the scallion pancakes. After selling enough scallion pancakes, he would be able to unlock different types of knowledge classes. When that happens, it will be unimaginable. At that moment, Lin Fan posted something on Weibo. My main business is fortune telling and my side business is selling scallion pancakes. If you want to taste the world's most delicious scallion pancakes, come down now to Cloud Street, block number 8861. It immediately got a few comments after Lin Fan pressed enter. The most eye-catching comment was by Autumn Sword Fish Killer. He burst out, aggressively flaming Lin Fan. Seeing his comment, Lin Fan couldn't help but shake his head, feeling disappointed. I'll just let him continue in his madness. Lin Fan had a few private messages in his inbox, and one of them caught his eye. The name sounded like a celebrity that he knew. Lin Fan initially thought it was a fake account, but after scanning through the profile, he realized that it was the real person. Master Lin, can I ask you to read my fortune? Seeing its content, Lin Fan couldn't help but chuckle. He replied, if you want a reading you'll have to come to my doorstep, I don't accept Weibo fortune-telling requests anymore. Just as Lin Fan was about to close his Weibo page, the celebrity replied him. Do you know who I am? I'm Wang Hua, the celebrity. It's not appropriate for me to show up in public. Lin Fan was overjoyed, and immediately replied, do you know who I am? I'm Master Lin, and it's not appropriate for me to read anyone's fortune on Weibo. If you want to get your fortune read, come down to my shop and get a queue number. But there is no guarantee that you'll be selected. The celebrity replied, hee hee. Lin Fan was wary every time he saw hee hee being used. It could have been used sarcastically to scold people. How could these celebrities, who were always on top of the trends, not know what the two words mean? Lin Fan couldn't take it. He immediately replied, I bought a watch last year. 1. Celebrity. What do you mean by that? How can you scold people like that? Lin Fan. I really bought a watch last year. Celebrity. Lin Fan didn't feel like talking to the celebrity. He was only a hyped-up celebrity with no substance. He was just looking for trouble. Not long after, Lin Fan found himself tagged in a post by the celebrity. So this is the legendary Master Lin. He really does have substance. The celebrity posted a screenshot of their chat along with the post. It attracted a lot of attention from Weibo users. At first, Lin Fan wanted to ignore it and let it slide, but the celebrity had made the issue personal and didn't resolve it amicably. A certain celebrity who is way past his prime should take note. Don't think that you can pull your status with me just because I got on the headlines. I treat everyone equally. At the worst celebrity on earth. Lin Fan immediately received a barrage of comments after sending out that post. 6666. The worst celebrity on earth is the legendary general, Wang Hua, that's right. These celebrities really are shameless. They decide to cause a ruckus just because Master Lin got onto the headlines. This Wang Hua, I absolutely detest him. He is a terrible hypocrite. Recently, his career has been going down in the slumps. No wonder he went to Master to read his fortune, thinking that he will receive a good reading. Master Lin is a man of principle. Sitting in his grand mansion, Wang Hua was absolutely furious. King Master Lin, just you wait. Lin Fan sat in front of his computer and he was extremely bored. Defending himself was a very natural thing to do, no matter against a celebrity or not. His phone rang. As he glanced at the caller ID, it was someone very familiar. His mother. Yes, Mom. What's up? Before obtaining the encyclopedia, Lin Fan had found life to be hopeless and he always thought of going home. How's everything out there? Mother Lin asked. Rest assured, I'm doing fine. I'll pop by home in October, Lin Fan said gleefully. Don't overwork yourself. If you can't handle things out there, there's always a place for you to rest at home, Mother Lin said. Mom, you're underestimating me. Rest assured, I'll give you a big surprise when I come back home in October, Lin Fan said cheerfully. What kind of surprise? Can't you say it now? Is it that you finally have a girlfriend? Mother Lin chuckled. Don't ask too much, you'll see it when I come visit you guys. Okay, I won't ask too much. Please sleep well and eat more. I can imagine that you're really malnourished right now. Oh, when you get back I'll cook a feast for you. After chatting for a while longer, Lin Fan put down the phone and charged it before turning in for the night. 1. This is a phrase used by netizens to curse others. In Chinese, it sounds similar to another phrase meaning f*ck your mom. Chapter 66. Not good to go to the toilet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations. The next day, Lin Fan hummed a tune as he drove his car. Although he was only a fortune teller with a side job of selling scallion pancakes, he was able to afford a car. Lin Fan thought the car wasn't too flashy, but in his eyes, the car was a beauty, worth a few $100,000. But if Wang Mingyang knew that Lin Fan drove such a car, he would vomit blood. A car worth a few $100,000 was as good as trash to him. The hour was still early. Lin Fan took a long detour to get to his shop, enjoying the breeze against his scalp. At Cloud Street. Fraud Tian was up especially early today and opened the shop early. Lin Fan got a shock when he reached his shop front. There was already a crowd of people waiting outside his shop. This was unexpected. The neighboring shop owner greeted Lin Fan. Master Lin, your business is doing really well. It's doing okay. Lin Fan chuckled humbly as he shook his hands. However, his heart burst with a tinge of pride. His business was doing so well, the surrounding shop owners were all envious. The boss has arrived. The crowd roared with excitement when they saw Lin Fan. In the eyes of the townsfolk, Lin Fan was their idol. Morning everyone. Lin Fan let out a huge grin as he greeted the crowd. Boss, you're finally here. We've been waiting for you to come. Your scallion pancakes are out of this world. I couldn't stop thinking about them last night. The neighboring shop owners were all teeming with envy as they saw the crowd adore Master Lin, and they knew that they would never experience it. One needed a lot of talent and ability to pull it off. You're finally here. A riot would have started if you were a little later, Fraud Tian chuckled. He had never seen this kind of crowd when they just operated a fortune-telling business. Have you given out the queue numbers? Lin Fan asked. I've done it an hour ago. We're all just waiting for you to arrive, Fraud Tian said. Now that's efficient. Lin Fan laughed as he stood behind the pancake counter grasping his spatula. Don't rush. Please queue up and wait for your turn. Number 1. Number 18. Number 26. Yes, I've been selected. A youngster exclaimed as he grasped the queue ticket, excitedly rushing to collect his scallion pancake. I've also been selected. I can finally eat Master Lin's scallion pancakes. The flavor of the scallion pancake I ate yesterday was absolutely divine. Master Lin isn't only just good at fortune telling, he makes absolutely delicious scallion pancakes. He could just make a living by selling scallion pancakes alone, said a lady who had her fortune read the day before. The people thought that Master Lin's scallion pancakes were the best in town. A person who was queuing up for pancakes laughed when he heard the lady. Hey sister, didn't you say the same thing yesterday? The lady blushed awkwardly, before waving her hands. Well, I can't help it. The morning crowd who were headed to work looked at Lin Fan's shop suspiciously. Isn't that a fortune-telling shop? How come he's also selling scallion pancakes? A small scallion pancake counter with so many people lining up. This can't be real. Can't be real. This is the famous Master Lin. Didn't you see your Weibo last night? Master Lin started selling scallion pancakes. I heard that the taste was pretty good. A few of the morning working crowd also followed the people queuing up to see what was the pancakes all about. However, they didn't know how the queue system worked. A youngster saw a lady in front of him clenching a queue number. He asked, Auntie, what is that piece of paper for? You've got to get a queue number for the scallion pancakes, and you'll get it only if you get selected, the lady said. Huh, there are rules to buy scallion pancakes. The youngster shook his head and left. He wanted to see how the scallion pancakes tasted, but after seeing that there were rules, even if it was for the best scallion pancakes in the world, he wouldn't queue up for it. Lin Fan stood in front of the counter. 10 servings of scallion pancakes came out of the oven. The fragrance wafted throughout the whole of Cloud Street, and many people smelt it. What's that aroma? I can't take it. It smells so good. Lin Fan clapped his hands. The daily limit of 10 portions has been completed. Everyone can take a look at the poster pinned on the wall. The people who went up were all regular customers. They gathered around, looking at the contents of the poster. While they were reading the poster, those who were selected ate the scallion pancakes immediately. Some of the loyal customers there were rich and had a lot of money to spend. Hey, bro, can you sell me 1 scallion pancake? The price is up to you to decide, the middle-aged man said. He was the manager of a company and had quite a fair bit of money. Ever since he ate Lin Fan's scallion pancakes, he kept on longing for it. He was lucky to have gotten selected yesterday. After he ate it, he kept on thinking of wanting more. Not selling, Lin Fan immediately rejected him. I'll pay 1,000 for half a pancake, the middle-aged man said desperately. The people who walked past were stunned as they looked at the scene. This can't be real, half a scallion pancake going for $1,000. Okay, fine, Lin Fan considered for a while. He couldn't turn down the prospect of easy money. He made another half pancake for the middle-aged man. One hand receiving the money, one hand handing out the goods. It was a profitable business. Lin Fan reclined in his chair and rested. Fraud Tian turned around and faced him. This scallion pancake business is actually more profitable than fortune-telling. Even if you sold a pancake at 500, there'll still be takers. Ever since Fraud Tian worked for Lin Fan, Fraud Tian became busier than ever. Half a scallion pancake going at $1,000. He wouldn't have believed it if he didn't see it with his own eyes. Lin Fan chuckled as he sipped his tea. Lin Fan felt a pang of pride as he saw how exaggerated the reactions of the people were. Cloud Street resounded with sounds of joy. Wow, this is too good, it really is tasty. This taste, this flavor is out of this world. Their faces lit up in delight as they bit into the scallion pancake. A stocky-looking person sporting dragon tattoos and a gold chain lifted his head and closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. He shook with happiness and said, "This brings me back to my youth when it was without worry. If I can't eat this next time, I won't know what to do with me." The people walking past were stunned when they saw a group of people who looked as if they've been drugged. Why were they reacting like that? It was only a scallion pancake. "Master Lin, can you just sell scallion pancakes from now on?" the townsfolk all exclaimed. "Yeah. You can put the fortune-telling aside. The flavor of the scallion pancakes is absolutely divine." Lin Fan gave a chuckle. How could he ever do that? Encyclopedic points +1. Encyclopedic points +1. The encyclopedia continually increased in points. In total, it increased by 8 points. Lin Fan had a total of 31 encyclopedic points. It was a huge improvement in the number of points that he had. At that moment, Lin Fan's stomach rumbled. Then, he stood up. "Give me a moment guys, my stomach is kinda painful, I've gotta use the toilet," Lin Fan said as he clenched his abdomen. "Master, please hurry, this place isn't good. There isn't a toilet around. He needs to go to the toilet in the shopping mall. There wasn't a single toilet around." Lin Fan was getting urgent. Lin Fan forced a laugh and handed over the shop to Fraud Tian. His stomachache wasn't a good sign. Chapter 67. It's good that you understand the logic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 67. It's good that you understand the logic translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations The Shopping Center. First floor. The men's bathroom. Ah. That feels good. Lin Fan's legs were getting a little numb. He had been squatting for at least 20 minutes. His thighs felt like they were on fire. He had to get up soon. This shopping center was a good location. Lin Fan had thought of opening his fortune-telling shop here once, but he didn't have the finances to do so. At that moment, someone called out Lin Fan's name. Young Fan. Lin Fan was startled. Who was it? The nickname Young Fan was his nickname in high school. Lin Fan was pleasantly surprised as he turned around. Big Tree. The man in front of him was tall, dark and handsome. He never thought that he would meet one of his better friends from high school in the shopping mall. Ah, Young Fan. It really is you. I didn't recognize you at first. Yen Shu-ren excitedly said. He couldn't believe that it was his good friend from high school. Both of them were good friends in high school. But after they went on to university, they weren't as close as they used to be. Although they didn't contact each other often, they would still meet up every school holiday at Lin Fan's house. Big Tree, you should have told me that you were coming over to Shanghai. I would have brought you around. Lin Fan laughed as he said, turning to look at the two girls and one guy behind him. And who are these three? Lin Fan asked. Young Fan, this is my girlfriend Chen Mei Tong. The other girl is her best friend and this dude is her boyfriend. All looking good. Lin Fan said. Hey, fill me up. What are you doing in Shanghai? Yen Shu-ren laughed as he asked. Nothing much, just opened a shop over at Cloud Street passing my days. You're here on vacation? Lin Fan asked cheerily. You can say that. Yen Shu-ren congratulated Lin Fan. I didn't do very well in my exams, so I'm here to look for a job. Just so happens that my girlfriend's best friend's boyfriend is quite familiar with the city. Lin Fan found the situation rather interesting. Xiao Yen, we should get going. Zhang Guiyang said annoyed, as he stood there. He sized up Lin Fan and gave him a death stare. Lin Fan didn't want anything to do with that guy. Wang Xiaoyan and Chen Mei Tong were best friends. She managed to find a boyfriend with a car and an apartment. She followed him everywhere he went. Not wanting to anger him, she pulled on Chen Mei Tong's sleeve, motioning her to leave. Big Tree, if you have anything to attend to, please go and do so. I'll leave you my number and if anything hit me up. Lin Fan said. Alright, we should meet up once I've settled down here. Yen Shu-ren was annoyed that he had to leave after such a short time of meeting his old friend. What was the hurry? Yen Shu-ren passed his phone number to Lin Fan. Young Fan, I'll take my leave. Yen Shu-ren said as he waved back. Lin Fan grinned at him. Lin Fan walked back to his shop after Big Tree left. Big Tree, who's your friend? Chen Mei Tong asked him softly. She met him at university. She didn't have any self-interest in Lin Fan. She just wanted to know her boyfriend's friends a little better. She looked for her best friend to help Yen Shu-ren. Chen Mei Tong didn't think much of it at first, but then she started to feel a little uncomfortable. Wang Xiaoyan's boyfriend kept on pressuring Chen Mei Tong's boyfriend. He seemed to look down on him. Although she was her best friend, Chen Mei Tong started feeling like Wang Xiaoyan forcefully dragged her along. It made her feel uncomfortable, didn't he say just now? He opened a shop at Cloud Street. Yen Shu-ren replied. Chen Mei Tong didn't ask anymore. Big Tree, although you're a university grad, Shanghai is a whole new ball game. I'll bring you around. Soak it all in. Zhang Guiyang said proudly. Yen Shu-ren laughed awkwardly. Chen Mei Tong wasn't looking too good. Wang Xiaoyan beamed at her boyfriend with an air of pride. the city folk were anxiously waiting for Lin Fan. If he hadn't come back soon enough, they would probably have gone to the shopping mall to haul him back. After tending to all of them, the city folk made their way. Lin Fan stood in front of the counter, tidying things up a little as he prepared to rest. A black Cadillac rolled down Cloud Street. Wang Xiaoyan pointed at the shop front. "Hey Big Tree, take a look. Isn't that your classmate? He's selling scallion pancakes. Ha, this guy really knows how to blow his trumpet. Just a pancake seller and he claims to have opened his own shop," Zhang Guiyang said arrogantly as he drove his car down the street. The atmosphere in the car was a little oppressive. After Wang Xiaoyan's vanity complex was satisfied, things eased up a little. "Mei Dan, you and your boyfriend should treat Guiyang and me to a nice meal. That UV shop looks pretty good." Alright. Chen Meitong's mood wasn't right. She blindly agreed without knowing what a UV shop was. Night time. It was another uneventful day at work. Lin Fan didn't know what to do about the city folk who just wanted to eat his scallion pancakes. "My fortune-telling abilities are the best, yet you guys only know how to eat. What a heartbreaker," Lin Fan thought. At that moment, his phone rang. It was Yan Shuren. "What's up Big Tree?" Lin Fan said cheerily. "Young Fan, let me treat you to a meal," Yan Shuren said. "Oh, you don't have to. Let me treat you instead," Lin Fan replied. "You can do that next time. Meet me at a diner called UV. It's located at Middle Mountain Road. I'm on my way now, although I don't exactly know where it is. Just come here first, I'll call you later." Ednel.co. UV Diner. "I know where it is. I'll be there." Lin Fan faintly remembered that restaurant. "You don't have to worry about me. I just closed shop, we'll be there soon." Click. Fraud Tian, I'll be off first. Can you help me to lock up? Lin Fan asked. "Ah. Have fun with your friend. I'll just go home, alone, and eat my porridge while you dine like a king." Fraud Tian eavesdropped on his phone conversation with Shu Ren. He wished Lin Fan would bring him along as well. "At least you understand that this is a special occasion. At least you aren't stupid. I'm gonna go off first, please remember to lock the door." Lin Fan took his car keys and walked over to his car before driving off. The red wine and Sprite cocktail there was not too bad. But he didn't think it was anything special the last time he drank it. This time his friend was treating him, so he'd better moderate his spending a little. Chapter 68. Useless Trickery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations. The sky was getting darker. This place wasn't too unfamiliar. He had come here once before. He didn't notice at first, but after he parked his car, he realized that the car park was full of high-end cars. Lin Fan glanced at his car and took a look at the other cars around him. His car was of a similar grade compared to the rest. Not too shabby. Lin Fan's classmate was too courteous. Although they haven't met for years, they still were really good friends. Lin Fan was sentimental as he looked back on his high school days. He heaved a sigh. There were so many girls who flirted with Lin Fan back then. In the end, however, Lin Fan made a mistake, and as he thought about it he felt a pang of regret. Lin Fan was humming a tune. At that moment, his phone rang. "Young Fan, have you reached?" Yan Shu Ren asked. "I'm here," Lin Fan said cheerily. But why did he feel something was amiss? Big Tree's voice was a little shaky. "Come in then." "Alright." After hanging up, Lin Fan walked 10 meters or so, opening the door. He glanced around looking for Big Tree's table. "Mr. Lin, sir," the manager saw Lin Fan from the bar counter. He immediately went up and welcomed him. Wang Mingyang was a regular customer at this restaurant. The manager would have been familiar with him. CEO Wang regularly did his business deals here. The manager was also as familiar with Lin Fan. It was that time when CEO Wang and Mr. Lin came here to dine. CEO Wang's expression was completely different from when he did his business deals. "Sir, are you waiting for someone or do you have a table reserved?" the manager asked politely. "My friend is inside," Lin Fan replied. Lin Fan felt a sense of authority when the manager called him sir, as if his status had been elevated. It was a pleasant feeling. "Mr. Lin, following your previous feedback, our restaurant has placed orders for Sprite to be specially air flown in. When mixed with red wine, it will give a better flavor. Would you like to try it?" the manager asked. "Sure," Lin Fan replied. The Sprite was imported by air. Lin Fan was impressed. "Mr. Lin, just wait a while, I'll go over to the kitchen and place a special order for you." The manager took his leave and walked into the kitchen. Yan Shu-ren didn't feel conformable at all. Chen Mei-tong also had the same feeling of distress. As they walked into the restaurant, they knew that this place wasn't any ordinary restaurant. She didn't think Wang Xiaoyan's recommendation of UV restaurant would be this kind of place. As she searched up for this place, she found out that the average spending per person at this place was around $6,000. A normal meal would cost more than $10,000. Furthermore, the price wasn't listed. The people who came here paid what the final bill wrote without asking. Big tree. Lin Fan slapped his shoulders as a friendly gesture. Yan Shu-ren was startled in the midst of his worrying. As he saw Lin Fan, he calmed himself down and put on a stable front, forcing a smile. Zhang Guiyang sat there, face full of arrogance. Zhang Guiyang didn't look at Lin Fan twice, as if he wasn't there at all. Wang Xiaoyan said gleefully, "I've come here with Guiyang a few times. The food here is really good." "What's wrong, Meidan?" "When I suggested this place, I casually mentioned it. I didn't actually think you'd agree to it. What about Guiyang and I treat instead? Since Big Tree hasn't gotten a job yet, you guys should save up a little more. I know that you guys probably won't be able to foot the bill, you don't have to force it." "No, it's fine, we'll treat," Yan Shu-ren said. "Superb." Wang Xiaoyan gave him a thumbs up as she smiled. Her eyes, however, told a different story altogether. "Please, keep on feigning more than your ability to treat." Chen Mei-tong smiled. "We should treat. After all, it was Guiyang who so selflessly agreed to help us." Lin Fan batted his eyes as he saw what was unfolding in front of him. He understood what was going on. He patted Big Tree's shoulders with one hand and with the other on his hands. "Yes, naturally, Big Tree should treat. It's only a meal, right?" Lin Fan took his credit card and stealthily slid it into Big Tree's hands as he talked. Big Tree was stunned. He looked at Lin Fan. "Big Tree, if you don't mind, I'll order more." "That's alright with you, right?" Lin Fan said gleefully, patting Big Tree's hand which held his credit card. Big Tree was touched. He looked at Lin Fan with gratitude. He knew that Lin Fan was trying to help him so he wouldn't lose face in front of the others. What a true friend. "No problem, I have enough money to treat this one. Order as much as you like." Big Tree relaxed himself a bit, his face also looked visibly brighter. Chen Mei-tong sat at Big Tree's side. She caught a glimpse of Lin Fan's credit card in his hands. She also let loose a little. She didn't think that Big Tree would have such genuine friends. Zhang Guiyang laughed coldly in his heart, face still full of arrogance. He had the feeling of being better than everyone sitting at the table. The atmosphere at the table was rather gloomy. Wang Xiaoyan and Chen Mei-tong were gossiping, talking about bags and make-up. Every now and then, Wang Xiaoyan would exclaim out loud. "Mei Dan, you're still using that cheap brand. Big Tree, how was your interview with Lu Xiao Han this afternoon? Lu Xiao Han was the manager of 4S shop. I'll undergo training for 3 months, and the salary for that period is 2,000. After the 3 months, there will be a test. After I'm qualified, the salary will be $3,500 excluding year-end bonus. Ah, the salary is so low. Wang Xiaoyan commented. Zhang Guiyang looked at Wang Xiaoyan, grinning. For someone who just started working, it isn't too bad already. How is it even enough? It can't even compare to yours. Wang Xiaoyan sneered. No one knew if she did it purposely or not. At that moment, the food came. We didn't order the Sprite. Wang Xiaoyan saw the well-presented drink in front of her. She looked surprised. I ordered that. Lin Fan grinned as he carried the Sprite towards him. Wang Xiaoyan looked at Lin Fan with despise, glaring at him. Such a high-class restaurant and you order Sprite. Wang Xiaoyan looked on in disgust as Lin Fan mixed his Sprite with red wine. Uncultured swine. Big Tree, if I recall correctly, you majored in finance, right? Why don't you look for a job in the bank? Lin Fan was oblivious to the stares of Wang Xiaoyan and Zhang Guiyang. As long as he was contented. Yan Shuren was about to speak when Zhang Guiyang butted in. The competition in the Shanghai banking industry is so tough. With his qualification, it's definitely not enough. The employers won't even take a second glance. Zhang Guiyang said. Yan Shuren laughed awkwardly. Lin Fan looked at Zhang Guiyang. Oh. It seems like your educational background must be stellar. Lin Fan felt like he needed to do something to stand up for Big Tree. Once or twice, he could look past it. But Guiyang was literally addicted to belittling others. My Guiyang is more than capable. He graduated from an overseas university with a much better reputation than the ones in this country. Wang Xiaoyan said proudly. Guiyang, what university was it? Wang Xiaoyan asked. But she noticed his gaze was fixed on something else. She looked in his direction. What was there to see? Guiyang, what's up? Wang Xiaoyan asked. Zhang Guiyang pointed at the person in front of him. Do you know who that person is? Lin Fan turned around and was stunned for a moment. Who is he? Wang Xiaoyan shook her head as she asked. Big Tree and Chen Mei Tong didn't recognize the person. That's Wang Mingyang, Shanghai's leading entrepreneur, with a personal wealth of over $1 billion. What's even more impressive is that he's still only 20+ years old. Zhang Guiyang said proudly. What plebeians, you guys don't even know who Wang Mingyang was. Wang Xiaoyan looked over in awe. A self-made billionaire at 20+. What in the world? Guiyang, you recognize him? Wang Xiaoyan asked. She also took a glance at Chen Mei Tong, as if to say that her boyfriend was so amazing. I wish. I've only ever seen him at a dinner event once. Zhang Guiyang said. To see him in person is already a good thing. Chen Mei Tong and Yan Shuren were looked down, distraught. He was worlds apart from them. Is he that amazing? Lin Fan's heart lit up with glee. He turned to Big Tree, looking very serious. Zhang Guiyang stared at Lin Fan. His most recent investment was over $3 billion. He has a lot of companies under his wing. What a talent. He isn't normal. Zhang Guiyang talked enthusiastically. Although he was talking about Wang Mingyang, it seemed like he was talking about himself. Oh, that's impressive. If Big Tree were to work for him in his finance department, that would be great. Lin Fan laughed as he said. Ha! Zhang Guiyang snorted. Don't even dream of it. Even professors who applied for a job in his company got rejected. I think you stand a better chance in 4's shop. Big Tree, would you like to work for him? Lin Fan asked calmly. Young Fan, don't kid around with me. I don't have that kind of ability. Yen Shuren said awkwardly. Even if he had the talent, he doesn't have the contacts to get in. Stop dreaming. And I think you should stop kidding around with him, it's starting to look bad. Zhang Guiyang said. Wang Xiaoyan also laughed as she saw how awkward Chen Meitong looked. Big Tree's friend is such a joker. Chen Meitong let out an awkward laugh. This was a bad situation. She wanted to leave so badly. Haha. Lin Fan laughed confidently. He turned around, and shouted, Wang Mingyang. You're crazy. Zhang Guiyang was stunned. His expression changed. At that moment, the unexpected happened. Wang Mingyang turned around. As he saw Lin Fan, his dignified appearance became a friendly one. Oh shit. I didn't know you were here, bro. Zhang Guiyang looked confused. Bro. Chapter 69. I've gotten so many university offers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 69. I've gotten so many university offers. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations, and you didn't even invite me. Lin Fan retorted. I forgot, bro. Wang Mingyang casually took a chair and sat next to Lin Fan. Zhang Guiyang couldn't believe what he was seeing. He sat there dumbfounded. The Guiyang who was originally arrogant suddenly became meek and reserved. Yen Shuren and Chen Meitong kept their heads low. Although they didn't know Wang Mingyang personally, Guiyang's explanation of him was good enough to make them feel like they were nothing in front of such a person. You're really something. You just dragged the bench here and sat down. Now you're trying to eat our food. And I'll gladly do it. Wang Mingyang patted Lin Fan on his shoulder and smiled. Where is your female companion? You left her all alone. How ungentlemanly of you. Lin Fan turned his head. Wang Mingyang's girlfriend was sitting there all alone. She didn't know who Wang Mingyang's friend was that he would leave her all alone. She's beautiful. Lin Fan commented. Wang Mingyang nodded his head. She was indeed a catch. She's okay. Should I ask her to come over? Wang Mingyang said with a grin. Sure. Lin Fan nodded his head. Zhang Guiyang's heart was pounding. Lin Fan and Wang Mingyang were the only ones talking at the table. Although the conversation was light-hearted, Zhang Guiyang was anxious and still was in disbelief. A successful entrepreneur asking for Lin Fan's opinion on his girlfriend. Zhang Guiyang wanted nothing more than to leave the table even if it meant losing face, but his legs felt like lead. He couldn't move. Hey babe, why don't you come over? Wang Mingyang gestured. The lady let out a grin. She took up her bag and walked over, before sitting beside Wang Mingyang. Envy. Lin Fan and the lady looked at each other. Although her face was smiley, she had her suspicions. The people around the table all had their heads low and one of them had an awkward look on his face. Zilu, this is my brother Lin Fan. You can call him Brother Lin. Wang Mingyang said. Brother Lin. Zilu let out a sweet smile. So what do you think? Wang Mingyang asked. Lin Fan grinned, no hurry, I can tell you later. Alright, I'll trust you. Wang Mingyang laughed as he said it. His tone of voice suggested that if Lin Fan thought that she wasn't good for him, he definitely wouldn't have argued with him. Su Zilu looked at Lin Fan with astonishment. She could read between the lines and understood what they were trying to say. She didn't think that Wang Mingyang would hold this young man in such high regard. This guy is Yen Shuren. He's my good friend and my high school classmate, and this is Chen Meitong, his girlfriend. Lin Fan introduced the both of them. He was too lazy to introduce the other two. "Chief, how are you doing?" Yan Shu-ren nervously stood up and extended his hands. Wang Mingyang let out a laugh and shook his hands. "You don't have to be that formal. Any friend of Lin Fan is a friend of mine. Just call me Brother Wang." "Brother Wang." Yan Shu-ren nodded his head immediately. Wang Mingyang had an air of authority around him. Big Tree was a fresh graduate. He was absolutely nervous. "Brother Wang," Chen Meitong said meekly. Her brain was in overdrive. As she turned to look at Su Xianlu, she got another shock. "You acted in The Rich Family as the daughter, right?" She loved to watch TV series. She thought she had seen Su Xianli's face somewhere before. After she learned her name, she was sure that she was an actor. She was a huge celebrity. Su Xianlu let out a laugh. "Yes, I did play that role before." Lin Fan motioned to Wang Mingyang with his eyes, sensing that the atmosphere around the table wasn't right. Wang Mingyang understood his gesture. "Shall we talk about something else? I'll pay for your meal. It's a sin not to eat like a king over here." "Manager." The manager rushed over. "Clear the table. We'll order the best that this fine restaurant has to offer." "Sure thing, Chief Wang," the manager nodded. Zhang Guiyang couldn't sit in peace. His palms were all sweaty. Wang Xiaoyan felt the same way as him. She never thought that the boyfriend of her best friend would have a friend with contacts in high places. If she didn't see it with her own eyes, she wouldn't have believed it even if someone tortured her to death. Lin Fan looked at Zhang Guiyang, smiling at the corners of his mouth. The message was clear. "You can continue with what you were doing just now." Zhang Guiyang couldn't bring himself to do so in this situation. He sat there like a deflated balloon. Lin Fan nudged Big Tree on his shoulders as he eased himself into his chair. "Mingyang, does your company have a job opening?" Lin Fan asked cheerily. Yan Shu-ren was stunned when he heard what Lin Fan asked. He simply couldn't believe what was transpiring in front of him. Chen Meitong immediately looked up as her eyes lit up. She'd never imagined one of Big Tree's friends introducing him for a job. Chen Meitong thought that Big Tree's educational qualifications were decent, but it wouldn't be enough to work at a big company. "I don't think there are any job positions available. But since it's you who's asking, I can open a job position. What do you think?" Wang Mingyang said gleefully. For someone who had attended countless dinners and social events, this was one of the gloomiest ones that Wang Mingyang had ever been to. That was definitely a problem. When Wang Mingyang said the first line, Chen Meitong looked inextricably disappointed. But as he continued with his second line of answer, it was as if someone had pulled her soul out from hell. Zhang Guiyang laughed coldly in his heart when he heard the first line of his answer. Even if Wang Mingyang had the means of opening a job position, you would still need the ability to take up the position. Wang Mingyang's second line of answer was like a blow to his face. What kind of relationship did this B**** have with Wang Mingyang? Even if they were friends, one still had to be serious when it came to matters of business. Especially with such a successful company. Were their hiring standards that slipshod? Haha. My brother here just graduated from university. He didn't even tell me that he was coming to Shanghai to look for a job, and when he did, it was some salesperson at some 4S shop. The salary there is only 2,000. It's such a huge waste of talent. So if your company is looking to hire, don't mind if you could do me this favor. I'll owe you big time. Big Tree, introduce yourself to President Wang. Tell him where you graduated and what you majored in." Lin Fan nudged Yan Shu-ren. "Oh. Yes." Yan Shu-ren looked visibly stunned ever since Lin Fan put out his request. He immediately snapped out of it and stood up and extended his hand outward, looking nervous as ever. Wang Mingyang laughed as he saw how he reacted. He shook his hand, letting Yan Shuren sit down. Brothers don't owe each other anything. If you asked for a favor, how could I possibly refuse? If I didn't agree with you, I don't think I could ever live it down. But frankly speaking, educational qualifications aren't really that important. All that you really do is spend some money and go overseas to have fun and come back with a degree. What's the use of that? I only graduated from junior high school, and I've gotten offers from more than 10 universities. I don't know where I've thrown all those acceptance letters to, Wang Mingyang said, not in the least bit concerned. Lin Fan laughed out as he heard what he said. He turned and fixed his gaze on Zhang Guiyang. Zhang Guiyang felt like digging a hole in the ground to bury himself. I've only ever gotten one placing. He felt like he had been ruthlessly destroyed. Chapter 70. Can't show off anymore. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 70. Can't show off anymore. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations. However, I have quite a lot of listed companies. What is your field of specialization? Asked Wang Mingyang. Brother Wang, I studied finance, Yan Shuren replied swiftly. There's no problem, is there? Lin Fan asked. What problem could there be? This is a small matter. Here's my name card. My number is on it. Once you've settled down, give me a call and I'll make arrangements for you. I guarantee you'll be satisfied, Wang Mingyang smiled. Thank you, Brother Wang. Big Tree felt like he was on cloud 9. It was an indescribable feeling, almost as if he would float up if he started walking. If it wasn't for the name card that felt so real in his hands, he would think he was dreaming. I'll have someone to mentor you in the company. Learn from him. When the time is right, I'll promote you. I won't get into the details, but I guarantee you an annual salary of at least $1 million. This was Lin Fan's friend. Wang Mingyang couldn't let him just rot in the company. He had to groom him up and make him a main force for the company. However, all this depended on his own hard work too. Lin Fan nodded and patted Big Tree on his shoulder. Big Tree, you have to work hard. You're carrying my name now. Let's set a little goal. A year from now, attain an annual salary of 1 million. Yan Shuren's face turned red with emotion. He didn't even dare to imagine having an annual salary of 1 million but nodded his head anyway. Don't worry, Lin Fan, I definitely won't let you down. At this moment, Wang Mingyang looked at Lin Fan and saw a mysterious look in his eyes. Somehow, when Wang Mingyang looked into Lin Fan's eyes, he could tell what Lin Fan wanted to say. Right now, Lin Fan's eyes were telling Wang Mingyang that he should leave quickly. If he stayed any longer, the atmosphere would become depressing. Wang Mingyang understood what those eyes meant, and he complained in his heart. We're all so cheerful now, what was there to be depressed about? However, Wang Mingyang did feel that the atmosphere was starting to get slightly depressing. Besides Lin Fan, who was able to maintain his usual state, the other people were all too tense. Eventually, Wang Mingyang nodded. We'll be leaving now. It's time to have some private time for the two of us, said Wang Mingyang as he stood up. Alright, go ahead. We'll keep in touch through our phones, said Lin Fan. I'm leaving, and you don't even try to urge me to stay. What kind of brother are you? Wang Mingyang grumbled. There's no need to be so formal, Lin Fan chuckled. As Wang Mingyang stood up, Yan Shuren and Chen Meitong prepared to send him off. There's no need to send me off, continue with your conversation. Wang Mingyang waved his hand and left the place with his girlfriend. And then, there were 5 people remaining at the table and the atmosphere became livelier again. Previously, it was Zhang Guiyang and Wang Xiaoyan's merciless gloating that embarrassed Big Tree, but the tables had turned. Zhang Guiyang and Wang Xiaoyan were silent. They both had embarrassed and uneasy expressions on their faces. Zhang Guiyang, in particular, didn't know what to feel. His thoughts were in a mess. Who would have thought that this scallion pancake seller knew Wang Mingyang? Moreover, their relationship seemed unusual. From the way they spoke to each other, you could tell that they were not just ordinary friends. Insufficient academic credentials. Too much workplace competition. 2,000 plus salary. Overseas university certificate. Zhang Guiyang didn't know how many times he'd been slapped in the face. Even though his face wasn't really hurt, his heart was aching very much. Lin Fan, you're the best. I don't know how to thank you enough. First, let's just have a toast. The one who was the most moved was not Yan Shuren, but his girlfriend. Chen Mei Tong had always believed that Big Tree was a capable man. Even though he didn't do well early in his life, she always believed that he would succeed eventually. Despite this, in reality, especially when her close friends bragged to her about their boyfriends, she felt upset. However, as of that moment, things had changed. Chen Mei Tong was so happy that she didn't know how to react. There's no need to thank me. Don't drink yet, this red wine has to be mixed with Sprite. That way it has a more interesting taste. Lin Fan mixed the Sprite with the red wine for Yan Shuren, then looked over to Zhang Guiyang, how about a taste as well? If this was before, Zhang Guiyang would have looked down on Lin Fan, thinking he was an uncivilized man, but now, his attitude had changed. I'll help myself. Zhang Guiyang instantly stood up and took the Sprite. He poured a cup for Lin Fan first, then one each for Wang Xiaoyan and himself. This courteous behavior was worlds apart from his previous behavior. Big Tree and Chen Mei Tong made eye contact. Both their eyes gleamed with joy and were full of hope for the future. Brothers. I'm sorry about this situation regarding Big Tree. I also have to trouble you to let that 4S friend know that his job offer is rejected. After all, that 4S shop cannot match Big Tree's ability, don't you think so? Lin Fan laughed as he talked. You're right. Let me make the call now. Big Tree is great, his academic credentials are plenty, and he's capable too. This 2,000 plus salary really doesn't suit him. Zhang Guiyang smiled politely. However, this smile exposed his embarrassment. His sense of superiority from before had completely faded. If he still showed his sense of superiority in this kind of situation, he had to be an idiot. This man in front of him chatted and laughed with Wang Mingyang as if they were best friends. Big Tree, from now on, you're a great emperor of finance. Don't forget about me. Lin Fan joked. Lin Fan, you're teasing me again, Big Tree let out a big, sincere smile. The day's events had impacted him much too greatly. After everything was over, he had to report the good news to his parents. Lin Fan, I pay my respects to you. Thank you very much, Chen Mei Tong stood up, raised her cup and said. She was really extremely grateful towards Lin Fan. At the same time, she felt fortunate that Big Tree had a friend like him. She also realized that the greater a person, the more humble they would be. And the more arrogant and cocky a person, the worse they were. When she first saw this schoolmate of Big Tree's, she honestly looked down on him a little as well. However, she now understood that that was what a great person should be like. Come, I'll pay my respects to the two of you. Hopefully, in the next few years, Big Tree will be able to build his own empire, Lin Fan stood up and declared. Thank you, Lin Fan. Big Tree was close to tears. He then downed his cup in one go. Zhang Guiyang and Wang Xiaoyan sat there awkwardly, as their faces turned red. Everybody had drank and eaten to their heart's content. Lin Fan didn't drink too much. Moreover, after mixing in the Sprite, the alcohol didn't have much effect. Waiter, bill please. Big Tree shouted. I'll pay, I'll pay. Zhang Guiyang stood up immediately and declared he was paying the bill. It was as if he would get angry if they didn't let him pay. As of that day, Zhang Guiyang could no longer be ostentatious in front of Big Tree. After joining the listed company, everything would be different. Big Tree had boundless prospects. Even though Zhang Guiyang acted obnoxiously towards him, causing Big Tree to be annoyed, he now hoped that he could still salvage their relationship. At this moment, the manager approached Lin Fan. "Mr. Lin, your total bill is $68,000. Chief Wang already paid when he was leaving," the manager explained courteously. "Oh, it's paid already. Alright, let's go then," Lin Fan stood up and said. Zhang Guiyang stared blankly. He was appalled. What kind of relationship did this guy have with Wang Mingyang? He asked Wang Mingyang for a favor, and Wang Mingyang still paid for the bill. This Lin Fan's influence on Wang Mingyang was terrifying. When Yan Shuren and Chen Meitong heard the price, they were stunned as well. How expensive! Big Tree then looked over at Lin Fan. The emotion in his heart grew heavier and heavier, until tears started to form at the corner of his eyes. Today, these brothers of mine have fought for my honor. This grace isn't something that I can repay through superficial means. This is a lifetime of grace.